Nuts are often dismissed as just high-calorie snacks, but for people dealing with diabetes or poor circulation, certain nuts can play a powerful role in metabolic health when used correctly. Some nuts don't just provide healthy fats, they actively improve insulin sensitivity, reduce inflammation, support blood vessel function, and help regulate how glucose moves through the bloodstream. When eaten consistently and in the right portions, they can support steadier blood sugar and better circulation at the same time. What makes these nuts especially effective is how they work on multiple systems. They slow digestion, reduce insulin demand, protect blood vessels from oxidative stress, and support nitric oxide production, a key factor in healthy blood flow. In this video, we'll break down three specific nuts that have been shown to improve circulation while also supporting blood sugar control. We'll explain how each one works inside the body, why they're beneficial for diabetics and insulin resistance, and the best way to include them without causing blood sugar spikes. These aren't exotic foods or extreme recommendations. They're simple, accessible nuts that can quietly support metabolic and cardiovascular health when used properly. By the end of this video, you'll understand which nuts actually help blood sugar and circulation and how to use them safely as part of a long-term routine. For people dealing with diabetes or insulin resistance, circulation problems often develop quietly. Blood vessels become less flexible, blood flow slows, and glucose has a harder time moving from the bloodstream into muscle tissue. This is one of the reasons blood sugar stays elevated longer after meals and why complications can develop over time. Nuts play a unique role because they influence both metabolic control and vascular health at the same time. Unlike refined carbohydrates or processed snacks, nuts digest slowly and do not flood the bloodstream with glucose. This alone reduces insulin demand, which is critical for preserving insulin sensitivity. One of the key reasons nuts support blood sugar control is their fat and fiber content. Healthy fats slow gastric emptying, meaning carbohydrates digest more slowly. Fiber further delays glucose absorption. Together, this creates a smoother rise in blood sugar instead of a sharp spike that requires a large insulin response. Lower insulin demand has downstream effects. High insulin levels interfere with nitric oxide production, a molecule responsible for helping blood vessels relax. When insulin demand stays lower, nitric oxide signaling improves, allowing blood vessels to widen and circulation to improve. Nuts are also rich in anti-inflammatory compounds. Chronic inflammation damages the lining of blood vessels and worsens insulin resistance. By reducing inflammatory stress, nuts help protect both insulin signaling and vascular flexibility. Another important factor is mineral content. Many nuts provide magnesium, potassium, and arginine, nutrients that support insulin function and blood vessel relaxation. Magnesium improves insulin receptor activity, while arginine is involved in nitric oxide production, which directly supports circulation. Because nuts digest slowly and provide sustained energy, they also reduce the likelihood of post-meal blood sugar crashes. Preventing crashes helps stabilize appetite, reduce cravings, and lower overall insulin exposure throughout the day. Circulation and blood sugar control are deeply connected. When blood flow is impaired, glucose clearance slows because muscles cannot absorb sugar efficiently. This keeps glucose elevated longer and forces the pancreas to release more insulin. Over time, this worsens insulin resistance and vascular damage simultaneously. By improving circulation, nuts help glucose move where it needs to go. Better blood flow means insulin can deliver its signal more effectively, and muscle cells can take up glucose without excessive insulin demand. This creates a positive feedback loop where blood sugar stability and circulation reinforce each other. Nuts also support cholesterol balance, which further protects blood vessels. Poor lipid profiles contribute to arterial stiffness and plaque formation, limiting blood flow. The healthy fats found in nuts help improve lipid handling in the liver and reduce oxidative damage to LDL particles. Portion control is important, but structure matters more than quantity alone. Nuts are calorie-dense, yet when eaten in moderate amounts, they do not cause blood sugar spikes. In fact, replacing refined snacks with nuts often improves glucose stability and satiety. Another overlooked benefit is consistency. Eating nuts regularly conditions the body to expect slower digestion and steadier energy. This reduces metabolic stress and helps stabilize blood sugar responses, not just to nuts, but to other meals eaten throughout the day. It's important to note that not all nuts affect the body equally. Different nuts contain different fat profiles, mineral content, and bioactive compounds. This is why some nuts are far more effective than others when it comes to improving circulation and supporting blood sugar control. In the next section, we'll break down the first nut on the list and explain exactly how it improves blood flow, supports insulin sensitivity, and fits into a diabetes-friendly routine. Walnuts are one of the most effective nuts for people dealing with diabetes and circulation problems because they work directly on the blood vessels, not just blood sugar numbers. Many foods affect glucose temporarily, but walnuts influence the systems that determine how efficiently glucose is delivered, absorbed, and used throughout the body. One of the most important components of walnuts is alpha-linolenic acid, a plant-based omega-3 fatty acid. Omega-3s reduce inflammation inside blood vessels and protect the endothelial lining, which is responsible for regulating blood flow. When endothelial function is impaired, blood vessels become stiff and resistant to relaxation, leading to poor circulation and higher blood pressure. Improved circulation plays a direct role in blood sugar control. Glucose must be transported from the bloodstream into muscle tissue to be used for energy. When blood flow is compromised, glucose clearance slows, keeping blood sugar elevated longer and forcing the pancreas to release more insulin. By improving vascular flexibility, walnuts help glucose reach tissues more efficiently, reducing insulin demand. Walnuts are also rich in polyphenols, which reduce oxidative stress. Oxidative stress damages insulin receptors and accelerates vascular aging. Over time, this damage worsens insulin resistance and circulation simultaneously. The antioxidant compounds in walnuts help preserve insulin signaling and protect blood vessels from long-term damage. Another important benefit of walnuts is how they affect post-meal glucose response. Walnuts digest slowly and contain virtually no digestible carbohydrates. When eaten with meals, they slow the absorption of carbohydrates from other foods, leading to smaller blood sugar spikes and a smoother glucose curve. This reduces the need for large insulin releases after eating. Lower insulin demand has long-term benefits. Chronically high insulin levels interfere with nitric oxide production, a molecule that allows blood vessels to relax. When insulin demand decreases, nitric oxide signaling improves, further enhancing circulation and supporting healthier blood pressure. Walnuts also support cholesterol metabolism, which is closely linked to vascular health. Elevated LDL cholesterol and triglycerides contribute to arterial stiffness and plaque formation. Regular walnut intake has been associated with improvements in lipid handling, helping reduce oxidative damage to LDL particles and supporting healthier cholesterol balance over time. Because walnuts are calorie-dense, portion size matters. However, even moderate amounts provide meaningful benefits. A small daily serving delivers omega-3s, antioxidants, and healthy fats without raising blood sugar. Replacing refined snacks with walnuts often improves glucose stability rather than worsening it. Another overlooked benefit of walnuts is their effect on stress hormones. Blood sugar crashes trigger cortisol and adrenaline release, which raise glucose and constrict blood vessels. Walnuts help prevent these crashes by stabilizing digestion and energy delivery, indirectly supporting both blood sugar and circulation. Preparation matters. Raw or lightly toasted walnuts preserve their beneficial fats and polyphenols. Sweetened, candied, or honey-roasted walnuts introduce sugars that counteract the metabolic advantages and should be avoided. Consistency is more important than quantity. Walnuts eaten occasionally will not reverse insulin resistance or circulation issues, but regular intake supports gradual improvements in endothelial function, insulin sensitivity, and lipid balance. These changes compound over time, leading to steadier blood sugar and improved blood flow. Walnuts do not act as stimulants or quick fixes. Their effects are subtle at first, but powerful with consistency. By supporting blood vessel health, reducing inflammation, and lowering insulin demand, walnuts become one of the most reliable nuts for people seeking better circulation and blood sugar control. In the next section, we'll move to the second nut, which works through a slightly different mechanism to improve insulin sensitivity and vascular relaxation. Almonds are one of the most reliable nuts for diabetics because they support blood sugar control at the root level, insulin sensitivity. Most people think blood sugar problems are only about sugar intake, but the deeper issue is usually that cells have become less responsive to insulin. When insulin signaling is weak, glucose stays in the bloodstream longer after meals, and the pancreas is forced to release more insulin to compensate. Almonds help reduce this burden through a combination of magnesium, fiber, healthy fats, and antioxidant protection. Instead of creating a short-term effect, they improve the metabolic environment that determines how stable blood sugar will be throughout the day. One of the biggest advantages of almonds is their magnesium content. Magnesium plays a direct role in insulin receptor function and glucose transport. When magnesium is low, insulin may be present, but the message doesn't land properly. This leads to higher fasting glucose, larger post-meal spikes, and slower glucose clearance. Regular almond intake provides steady magnesium support, which can strengthen insulin signaling and improve how efficiently cells respond. Almonds also slow digestion in a way that reduces glucose peaks. They contain fiber and fat that slow gastric emptying, meaning carbohydrates from the rest of your meal enter the bloodstream more gradually. That smoother absorption pattern leads to smaller spikes, lower insulin demand, and a more stable energy curve. This is why almonds are especially useful when eaten with meals, particularly meals that contain starches or carbs. There's also a practical reason almonds work so well. They help buffer meals that would normally spike glucose. If someone eats a carbohydrate-heavy breakfast or lunch, adding almonds can reduce the peak and slow the rise. That matters because it's not only the blood sugar number, it's the speed of the spike that drives damage, cravings, and fatigue. Slower rises mean less stress on the pancreas and fewer swings throughout the day. Lower insulin demand has important downstream effects. Chronically high insulin levels promote fat storage, worsen insulin resistance over time, and increase triglyceride production in the liver. When almonds help reduce insulin spikes, they indirectly support healthier lipid handling and more stable metabolic signaling. Over time, this can improve the pattern many diabetics struggle with: high triglycerides, low HDL, and inflammation-driven cholesterol issues. Almonds are also rich in vitamin E, one of the most important antioxidants for vascular protection. Oxidative stress damages insulin receptors and the lining of blood vessels. When blood vessels become stiff or inflamed, circulation worsens, and glucose delivery to muscles becomes less efficient. By reducing oxidative stress, almonds support both blood sugar control and circulation indirectly, which is important because poor circulation and poor glucose control usually worsen together. Another major benefit is that almonds help prevent the spike and crash cycle that drives cravings. When blood sugar rises quickly and drops quickly, the body releases stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol. These hormones increase hunger, raise glucose output from the liver, and can even worsen sleep later on. Because almonds slow digestion and improve satiety, they reduce the likelihood of these crashes and help keep appetite more stable. Portion control still matters because almonds are calorie-dense, but you do not need large amounts to benefit. A moderate daily serving is enough to support insulin sensitivity and stabilize post-meal glucose response without overwhelming calorie intake. Avoid sweetened almonds or honey-roasted versions because added sugars and coatings can cancel out the stabilizing effect. The key is consistency. Almonds won't reverse insulin resistance in one day, but regular intake supports magnesium levels, slows glucose absorption, protects blood vessels, and reduces insulin stress. Over time, that steady support makes blood sugar control more predictable and makes circulation problems less likely to worsen. In the next section, we'll cover the final nut, one that supports circulation even more directly through nitric oxide and anti-inflammatory pathways, while still helping stabilize glucose. Pistachios stand out from other nuts because they support circulation more directly, while still helping stabilize blood sugar. For people with diabetes or insulin resistance, circulation problems often develop alongside glucose issues. Poor blood flow limits how efficiently glucose and insulin reach muscle tissue, which keeps blood sugar elevated longer after meals. One of the key reasons pistachios improve circulation is their high content of arginine, an amino acid involved in the production of nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is a signaling molecule that tells blood vessels to relax and widen. When nitric oxide levels are adequate, blood vessels become more flexible, blood pressure improves, and blood flow increases throughout the body. Improved blood flow directly supports blood sugar control. When circulation is strong, glucose can be delivered more efficiently to muscle cells, where it is used for energy. Poor circulation slows this process, forcing the pancreas to release more insulin to compensate. By improving nitric oxide signaling, pistachios help reduce this burden on insulin response. Pistachios also contain a unique balance of fiber, protein, and healthy fats, which slows digestion and reduces post-meal glucose spikes. This combination prevents rapid rises in blood sugar and helps maintain a smoother glucose curve. For diabetics, reducing the speed of glucose absorption is often more important than eliminating carbohydrates entirely. Another advantage of pistachios is their effect on inflammation and oxidative stress. Chronic inflammation damages the lining of blood vessels and interferes with insulin signaling. Pistachios contain antioxidants and polyphenols that help reduce oxidative damage, protecting both blood vessels and insulin receptors over time. Pistachios also support cholesterol balance, which plays a major role in circulation health. Elevated LDL cholesterol and triglycerides contribute to arterial stiffness and plaque formation. Regular pistachio intake has been associated with improvements in lipid profiles, helping maintain healthier blood vessel structure and function. Unlike many snack foods, pistachios do not cause blood sugar spikes when eaten in moderate portions. In fact, replacing refined snacks with pistachios often improves glucose stability throughout the day. This is especially important for preventing the spike and crash cycles that drive fatigue, cravings, and stress hormone release. Stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline raise blood sugar and constrict blood vessels. By preventing rapid glucose swings, pistachios indirectly reduce stress hormone activation, which further supports circulation and metabolic stability. Portion control still matters. Pistachios are calorie-dense, but they are also naturally portion-limiting because they are eaten slowly. Even a modest daily serving provides enough arginine, fiber, and antioxidants to support circulation without overwhelming calorie intake. Preparation matters as well. Unsalted or lightly salted pistachios are best. Highly salted or flavored varieties can contribute to excess sodium intake, which may counteract blood pressure benefits. Sweetened pistachios should be avoided, as added sugars negate blood sugar control. Pistachios work best when eaten consistently, either with meals or as a balanced snack paired with protein. Over time, regular intake supports better blood vessel flexibility, steadier blood sugar, and improved metabolic efficiency. Together with walnuts and almonds, pistachios complete a trio of nuts that support circulation and glucose control through complementary mechanisms: omega-3 protection, insulin sensitivity, and nitric oxide support. Used consistently, these nuts can become simple, reliable tools for long-term metabolic and cardiovascular health. As you can see, improving blood sugar and circulation doesn't always require extreme diets or complicated routines. Sometimes small, consistent choices make the biggest difference. Walnuts, almonds, and pistachios work in different ways, but together they support insulin sensitivity, protect blood vessels, and help glucose move more efficiently throughout the body. The key is consistency and portion control. These nuts are most effective when used regularly as part of balanced meals or snacks, not eaten in excess or paired with high-sugar foods. Everyone's body responds differently, so it's always important to monitor your blood sugar and adjust based on how you feel. If you're managing diabetes, remember that stability matters more than perfection. Supporting circulation, reducing inflammation, and lowering insulin stress can make blood sugar control feel more manageable over time. If you found this video helpful, consider subscribing for more science-based diabetes education, nutrition tips, and simple strategies to support healthier blood sugar naturally. And as always, talk with your healthcare provider before making major dietary changes. Stay consistent, take care of your health, and I'll see you in the next video.